this is Xiaoyuan, and I'm going to talk about the project with my partner, Yihao Qiao. Our project is emphasized on criminals, and we're going to talk about the effects of weather and unemployment on crime in Atlanta. So, these are the contents we're going to talk about. They are interest, data collection, cleaning, and analysis. And lastly is a conclusion on the results. So since we are international students and live off campus, security is especially important to us. Also, it's important to every Georgia Tech students. We don't want to be chased by a criminal after the whole day's studying, right? That's a joke. It was not easy to find the dataset we needed. We needed to find three types of dataset: CSV, JSON, and HTML, and need to find the center research value of the dataset. Since we found the CSV file first, and it contains the data of criminal cases happened in Atlanta of the last decade, and the CSV file has many rows and columns and which is 71 MB, and it's very large. We naturally want to find data related to employment situation and its HTML file, but what about the third dataset? We struggled a lot to get it, and there were really limited sources of Atlanta that are in JSON format. But finally, with the help of Pablo, we get a website related to the weather condition, and of course, it's a very novel aspect to research in the relationship between criminal cases and the weather conditions. And that's why how we collected the datasets. And by the way, the JSON file we need to pay for the dataset to get the dataset, and we pay like $30 to get it. We expected to get some hypotheses at first, like in bad weather day such as raining day or day of pretty low temperature, the probability of criminal incidents is larger, or at midnight, the criminal rates are larger than that at daytime. Okay, let's go to the cleaning process. So the first one is a CSV file related to the criminal rates, and we have to reduce all inconsistencies of these three datasets, like handle duplicate rows, delete nuns, and delete dates, data that are obviously wrong. So for the first CSV file, we first delete the columns that are unrelated to our research, and then we use a drop null to delete empty cells. Use duplicated dot sum to get the number of duplicates, and then use these parts to drop them.
We first fill out all the empty values with N and A. And second, in order to make the data more comprehensive and make the analysis of the labor data more effective, we calculated the ratio of employment, the ratio of unemployment, and employment, then added it into the new two columns. And here are some of our data cleaning results, and the new values are added into correctly to the table.
We just choose keys that we want to use and delete the irrelevant parameters like do, icon, to offset. And then we calculate the exact time of sunrise by split the daytime by the column and choose the first and second item separately. And then we can get a column like just show the hour and just show the minute. Lastly, we calculate the amount of daylight each day by just do some arithmetic equations and multiply the date time hour by 60 to get the minutes and add them up. So the answer would just look like this. It shows the daytime in minutes of one day. So the first insight is about the degree of danger of each neighborhood, which we first group by the year, month, neighborhood and use the aggregation function of counts to get the number of criminal cases happened in each neighborhood per month. And then we use the sort by the order of descending and we choose the first 500 rows. After that, we do the group by again and use the aggregation to get this data frame. So the degree of danger means, for example, the downtown has 117 months that during these months, there are many criminal cases happened in downtown compared to other neighborhoods. So which means the neighborhoods of downtown, midtown, and Old Fourth Ward are very dangerous. Instead, we are going to talk about the relationship between the number of criminal cases and the distance from between Georgia Tech campus and other area. We first use the geographical coordinates to use some arithmetic methods to calculate their distance in the units of kilometers. And then this range 1 to 10 just acted the variable to count the number of criminal cases. Then we get the list. Look at this. So what does that mean? For example, the first number 19.9 thousand means in the range of 0 to 0.4 kilometers far from Georgia Tech campus, there are those value of criminal cases.
We use the statistical method of simple linear regression to investigate whether there is a linear correlation between the daily temperature and the daily number of crimes. And the linear regression coefficient is obtained. First of all, we calculate the average daily temperature and the number of daily crimes respectively, and directly calculate the expectation and the standard deviation of the temperature and the number of crimes by referring them to the mathematical formula. And then further calculated the linear correlation coefficient of about 0.11217. This result is close to zero, indicating that there is no obvious linear relationship between the temperature and the number of crimes.
For fourth insight, we use a group by year to get the unemployment rate and number of criminal cases happened in each year, and use a .corr module to calculate the Pearson correlation coefficient, Kendall and Spearman correlation coefficient. From the value of 0.4, we can know that there are some positive correlation between these two attributes, which proves our hypothesis.
Inside, we use the statistical method of multiple linear regression to examine the multiple linear correlation between daily temperature, wind speed, pressure, and so on, and the number of daily crimes. The multiple linear regression coefficient is obtained. First, we took out the weather data from the second half of 2019 to 2021 and grouped together to calculate the number of daily crimes during this period. After deleting unnecessary parameters, we calculated related parameters by multiple linear regression and resulted about 0.03162. The result is far from 1, which indicates that the model fitting effect is moderate deviation and the correlation between parameters are not very obvious. Discussing representation of the mirror image we created. We created 6 mirror images, and the first 3 were dynamic images that could interact with users. They were all created by following. Following is a custom map library based on the DeepLine. DeepLine is a mirror from a map validation library. Along the way, we annotated the exact coordinates of the top 10,000 crimes in our dataset. Let me show you how they work. As you can see, you can zoom in, out, and move the images around to see a street, neighborhood, and location of the crime. In the picture, it can be clearly observed that the crime areas are concentrated in the east and south of Georgia Tech. And the second is also a dynamic map. But unlike the first one, this map generates a bottom that shows the number of crimes that have been committed nearby. If you zoom in on one map, the bottom continues to split further and more clearly indicating the location of the crimes until each crime is specific. And let us see the third picture. The third image is a dynamic heat map, which will be dark red in areas where the crime is most concentrated and gradually transition to dark blue in areas where crime is less frequent.
For the second visualization, we change the name of UCR to the criminal types and then count the value of the first of 9 type of criminal cases. And then we use the tree map to show it. So from this figure, we can know that the last form vehicle has the largest area, which means this type of criminal has the largest amount of criminal cases. And this one is the secondary, and this is the third one. For the third visualization, we use a pie chart to visualize the relation between the distance from Georgia Tech campus and the number of criminal cases. So we can see from the figure that the area of 0.8 to 1.2 kilometers is the most dangerous area, and the first several areas are all very close to our campus, and the far the distance is safer. So our students should be careful since our campus nearby is not so safe. And the conclusion is that the downtown and midtown is the most dangerous area, and the northeast side is more dangerous than the west side. And take care of our transportation since there are many vehicles theft. And don't be scared if it rains since there are no much relation between the weather and the crimes. And lastly, if the unemployment ratio is high, the criminal rates will be high.